Hi guys, Pi here. A beautiful sunny spring day here in Helsinki. Great opportunity to come out on the terrace and do a review. I'm going to be reviewing my Tom Bihn Aeronaut 45 travel bag. I've had the bag for about 6 months now, and I've taken it with me on a number of trips to Estonia, to Finnish Lapland, Singapore, Malaysia and England. So I feel like I've got a pretty good amount of experience with this bag, and now is time for the review. There's a lot to talk about in this review. I'm definitely a backpack and bag geek, and that's going to shine through in this review. My intention is that by the end of this review you're going to know whether the Tom Bihn Aeronaut 45 is the best travel bag for you. There's a few caveats I need to mention before I actually dive into the review in terms of my type of travel. I travel with the mindset of a backpacker and not so much like a package tour traveller. I like to be super mobile when I'm travelling, so that means I usually travel as light as possible. So with anything it's always a case of balancing comfort and lightweightness. I personally prefer staying in hostels to hotels. I like the intimate atmosphere of hostels, the ability to meet other travellers. I don't like just being stuck in a fancy 5-star hotel, segregated from reality. Hostels tend to put you in the centre of all the action, where the people are, where the atmosphere is. Now I'm going to put the bag down on the floor, pack it out, load it up as it would be for a regular trip, and talk you through all the features and the layout of the bag. Okay, so the Aeronaut 45 is a soft-sided travel bag with a 45 litre capacity. It's made from 1050 denier ballistic nylon for the exterior of the bag and Dyneema ripstop on the inside. I've got the bag packed out as it would be for the average trip, a trip lasting between, I don't know, anywhere from like a week up to a few months depending on the person. The Aeronaut has 5 main compartments accessible from the outside of the bag. It's got this main compartment in the centre here, 2 side pockets, and then on the outside of each side pocket is a small slip pocket that we'll dive into a little bit later on. The main compartment itself has one large zipper that flaps out and folds all the way back to make packing much easier. Each compartment has a double zipper, so you can access it from any direction. It also has a small mesh pocket on the inside of the flap that you can use to store wet gear or anything that you just want to keep separate from the main compartment itself. Inside the zipper compartment is a single D-ring. There's D-rings on every single interior compartment on the Tom Bihn bags, and that's used for the key strap system, which I'll explain in detail a little bit further on. The main compartment is pretty simple. It's just one large compartment. Here, just as an example, I've got like a lightweight jacket, a pair of sandals, and then one medium-sized Tom Bihn backpacking cube. That's basically got underwear, socks and all the rest of it in there. Then my laptop in a neoprene case. The Tom Bihn Aeronaut doesn't have a dedicated laptop compartment, which is obviously going to be an issue for some people. I personally don't find it a problem. All I do is put some softer stuff, clothes on the bottom of the bag, put my laptop in its neoprene case on top of that, and then put extra stuff on top of it. That just prevents it from getting bashed up and not travelling. So that's that. And then at the bottom of the bag is the Tom Bihn packing cube backpack, which I have a separate review on. That's where I store the majority of my clothes and also a travel towel for when I go away. Check out my review on that for some more details. So then, yeah, that's the main compartment essentially. Inside the main compartment is some compression straps that are removable. I personally haven't had a reason to use those yet, but I've just left them in now because they don't really add too much weight to the bag. One of the pretty ingenious features of the Aeronaut 45 is this, I don't know how well you can see it on the video, but here there's a zipper. And basically what that allows you to do is to adjust these two interior walls on the bag. You can make them bigger or smaller depending on how you want to use it. And what it basically does is it takes up space from the two end pockets, so you can either have the bag expanded all the way out and lose a little bit of space on the end pockets, or have the bag closed in, have less volume on the main compartment, but then obviously more on the ends. So that's a really nice feature that enables you to customize the bag to however you want to use it. So that's the main compartment taken care of. Now let's look at the side pockets. Okay, so the two end pockets on the bag are completely identical. Again, they've got dual zippers, so you can access it from either direction. Very, very simple. They're large enough to carry a size US 11 running shoe. I often take a pair of kind of outdoorsy running shoes with me when I go on a trip, and it's nice to have a dedicated pocket for that. Just stops everything in the main compartment from getting dirty. But yeah, those end pockets, they're pretty huge. As you can see right now, this would be how they would be if the divider was set all the way this direction, but right now I've got it set up so that the main compartment has a little bit of extra room, and you can see obviously you would lose some space in there, but still plenty of space to put a large pair of shoes in there. All of the zippers on the Aeronaut 45 are waterproof zippers, with the waterproof part on the inside of the pocket just to prevent them from being abraded. I haven't used it in much rain yet, but I'm sure it would be pretty water resistant. And then the final pockets on the bag are these stash pockets on the outside. They just have one zipper on a diagonal pattern across here. They're pretty small. They're big enough for you to put documents in, small items, passports, stuff like that. I use them for security. I empty all of my pockets, put it in one side here, and then I know that everything's safe and secure in there. I don't have to fumble around when I get to the security line. Everything's secure. I grab my bag, take all the small items out of here, put them back in my pockets, and then off I go. So now let's move on to the carrying options with the Tom Bihn 45. One of my favourite features of the Aeronaut 45 is the different options that you have when you want to carry the bag. As I said, I like to travel like a backpacker, not so much like a tourist. I don't really enjoy wheelie bags. They do have their place and purpose. Of course, if you're going to be mainly staying in hotels and taking taxis everywhere, then a wheelie bag is fine. But for any kind of trip where you're going to be carrying the bag around by yourself, moving from place to place really often, a wheelie bag is really not appropriate, and that's where the Tom Bihn Aeronaut 45 shines. The first option when carrying the bag is to carry it in briefcase mode, which is using the briefcase handle on the top here. Very strong webbing straps and a nice comfortable handle. This doesn't interfere at all with any of the compartments on the bag, so often on duffel bags kind of like this, these straps would overlap the main compartment, so then every time you want to access the bag you have to undo these straps. Not the case here. They're completely separate. There's no need to ever undo this handle if you don't want to. Very strong, very secure. Obviously you're not going to want to carry it that way for extended periods of time because it can be pretty heavy when you've got the bag loaded out. The second carry method, and my personal favourite, is to use the included backpack straps. The backpack straps are stowable. They stow down in this exterior pocket here, and they attach using the side clasp buckles here. You would think that because they are stowable that the backpack straps aren't comfortable, and that's definitely not the case. They're nicely padded. They're obviously not going to be as comfortable as like a dedicated hiking pack, but they are padded really well. They're really well made. There's an adjustable sternum strap, which I think is essential on any kind of backpack, and then obviously the shoulder straps themselves are adjustable using the webbing here. I always usually carry the bag in this mode. It's the most comfortable in my opinion, and the beauty of it is if you want to check the bag, you can stash the backpack straps away, and that obviously gives one less thing for to get snagged when you're checking the bag. We all know that baggage handlers don't take the most care with bags, and so having less stuff for it to snag on is obviously advantageous there. And then the third option is using it in shoulder bag mode, kind of like a messenger bag. The Aeronaut 45 does come with a basic shoulder strap. I opted to upgrade to Tom Bihn's fairly famous Absolute shoulder strap. The Absolute shoulder strap is made from a neoprene material that's flexible and also grippy on one side, so that means when the bag's loaded up heavy, that it in theory is comfortable on your shoulder. It gives a little bit more and is just a better carry option. It's an extremely well made strap, completely adjustable with very strong metal buckles at each end that clip into the bag itself. I have to say though, I used the Tom Bihn Absolute shoulder strap starting off, and I just honestly found it quite uncomfortable. The bag is deceptively large, and if you're carrying a laptop and all the stuff that you would need for that kind of trip, the bag can be pretty heavy. And with the shoulder strap, I just feel like it, after a short period of time, it becomes pretty uncomfortable pretty quickly, even with the added comfort of the Absolute strap. I used it first off, and then I've just been using the bag pretty much exclusively in backpack mode. Personal preference, I guess, I'm just a backpack guy. And then the other option to carry the bag, I guess not so much carry the bag, but more move it around, is on each end is these grab handles. This is really, really useful for when you're storing the bag in an overhead compartment on a plane, and you're just moving it around, taking it in and out of taxis. They lay flat, they're out of the way, but super, super strong, and I wouldn't hesitate to carry the bag like this for extended period of times. It's just so well made, so strong. Earlier I just mentioned the key strap system that Tom Bihn uses. It's a length of webbing with mitten clips at each end that you can move from any of the interior pockets of the bag. Each interior pocket has this D-ring that you can clip it in and out of. I like to put my keys on there when I'm travelling, that way that I know exactly where they are. They're safe and secure. Obviously, if I'm in and out of this pocket quite often, there's no chance of those keys ever getting lost, and when I need them, when I get back home, they're safe and secure. Okay, so now I've talked about the physical properties of the bag, I just want to talk about what the Aeronaut does really, really well. I think the Aeronaut is a perfect size for medium/long trips. Travelling light is much, much easier when you have the appropriate luggage. The Aeronaut's big enough for the essentials, but not so big that you bring unnecessary extras. It's obviously easy to carry, as we talked about. It doesn't have wheels, but it has a number of excellent carrying options. The bag's soft-sided. There's a number of advantages to a soft-sided bag. Hard cases, whether that's aluminium or plastic, they tend to either get dented or crack quite easily. You're not going to have that problem with a soft-sided bag. Of course, in theory, this bag could be ripped or torn, or if someone's trying to get into your bag, they could, in theory, cut through the material of the bag, but I just feel that's a lot like pretty unlikely. With it being soft-sided, and the material that we've used is super hard wearing, and I think this bag is going to last for a long, long time. Also, with soft-sided bags, they're easier to underpack and to overpack. If you underpack the bag, of course the bag is going to kind of conform to what's inside, and then if you overpack it, you've got a little bit of room, a little bit of a margin for error there, where you overstuff it a little bit and the bag will expand with that. The materials, the build quality, the looks of the Tom Bihn Aeronaut is outstanding. Tom Bihn make the highest quality bags I've ever come across, using the finest materials, the finest accessories. I think with a bag like this, especially with it being black, it does have a very professional appearance. It could be used for a business trip, it can be used for round the world backpacking. It kind of blends in with any environment that you put it in. And the nice thing with it, I think there's something like 10 different colour options. So depending on what you want, you can have it in bright pink, you can have it in black, you can have it in blue. Many, many options there. Okay, so now a few things that the Aeronaut doesn't do so well. It's a pretty large bag at 45 litres, so if you're going on any trip less than about 3 or 4 days, the Tom Bihn Aeronaut's going to be a little bit too big. I would personally prefer to use a small day pack for that kind of length of trip. It's a lot easier to carry, and you don't have that kind of extra space that you're not going to use. Any trips that you expect to go hiking on, the way I travel, if I'm going on a longer trip, I usually try and incorporate some kind of outdoor activity, especially some kind of hiking. This is an excellent bag and it's very, very comfortable, but of course you can't expect it to compete with a dedicated hiking backpack. Any trip like that I'm going to be doing hiking on, the Aeronaut's going to stay at home in favour of something like my ULA Ohm or my old faithful Osprey Ether. Also, it's not going to be the best bag for first-time backpackers or trips that you expect to need a lot of gear. 45 litres is base for most kind of trips, but if you're kind of new to backpacking and you're going on an around the world, 12-month trip, then it's probably going to be a little bit small for most people. If I'm going on a trip where I'm going to be maybe taking some scuba diving gear, some hiking equipment, a lot of photography equipment, then the Aeronaut 45 probably isn't going to be big enough. Obviously every bag has its limitations, and that's just one for the Aeronaut. With that being said, I like to sometimes use the Aeronaut 45 in conjunction with another bag. So I might be taking like a small day pack, like the Kelty Peregrine pack, which I'll be reviewing here in the future. And what I really enjoy pairing the Aeronaut 45 with, and I think works really well for kind of medium length trips, is bringing the 45 and then also bringing my Maxpedition GTG, which is just like a small shoulder bag, perfect for carrying as like your personal item on the flight. This can be your hand luggage, but then for a personal item this is perfect. It enables you to hold your Kindle. I can put my camera in there to when I'm walking around town, and just all the small essentials, a water bottle and all the rest of it. So look forward to a review on that coming out soon. Just some final thoughts then. Having used the Aeronaut extensively over the past 6 months, and researched the competition, I would honestly have to say that the Aeronaut 45 is probably the best bag in its class. It's definitely going to be my go-to bag for travel, and I'm really excited to see if anyone could potentially knock Tom Bihn off the top spot when it comes to travel bags. I recommend that you go over to the Tom Bihn website and check out all the different options you can get when you're ordering the bag. Just don't come back to me and blame me if you spend a lot of money on their website. If you've made it all the way through to the end of this review, then thanks for watching. It probably means that you're into backpacks and into travel bags in general. I think you'd thoroughly enjoy using the Aeronaut 45. So if you've got any questions or comments, please do leave them below. If you've enjoyed this review, do me a favour, hit that like button, and obviously subscribe to the channel. And if you click this link right here, it's going to send you over to my website when I go into a little bit more detail about the bag, break the bag down a little bit more in terms of like how I use it and what I pack on a trip. So thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it very much, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers. Bye.
Oh my god. 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 Oh my